Matter of fact, if anybody is promising you quick, fast results in SEO, run.
Yeah.
Because they don't know. Google changes this stuff 2 or 3 times a year in a big way. And nobody can promise that. What you are and should hire somebody to do is help you produce the type of content and the website environment that leads to the best and most helpful thing for your user.
Mm-hmm.
Google will in time find that to you. It's like a tomorrow customer in that way.
It really is.
Welcome back to Maven Monday SEO episode. This is the place where we answer your real-life marketing questions to eliminate waste in advertising, grow your business, and help you achieve the big dream. And we are on part 4 of a 6-section series.
Episode 2, part 4.
Yeah, that wasn't confusing at all.
Yeah.
Why do you have to do that?
Why
did I have to do that?
I don't know.
Okay, we covered 3 sections in part 1. And we're going to cover 3 more sections in episode 2. Hopefully you listened to that. Go back and just real quick recap. We're talking about the anatomy of a search engine, how to give Google what they want, tactics for local SEO, tactics for website SEO. We're going to go into section 5, how you measure progress so you're not using bad data. And then in section 6, we're going to talk about SEO in general as a strategy and preparing your mindset for that.
Mm-hmm.
So we just talked about local SEO and all the things you can do with maps. Go back to part 1. The last part of that map section, what it takes to rank in the Google local section, is to have a good website. Good website.
Good website.
Is it good or bad? Check the box. Good website, you're done.
It's got to be good. Yeah.
And 13% of showing up there depends on the content and performance of your website, which parlays brilliantly into what does it take to make my website good? Part 4, what we're calling organic SEO. So the practice of making your website show up in the good old-fashioned information parts.
Yeah. I think
of website or of Google page.
The way this question, if we were answering a question more specifically, the way this comes to us very often is I've been paying somebody, or I'm thinking about paying somebody for SEO work or an SEO package, or I don't know what they're calling it. But usually, if somebody's paying some sum of money, let's pretend like it's $1,000 a month. And the first question we ask is, cool, what are they doing for you? Yeah. And most of the time, the business owner, the marketing director,
I don't know, they're doing my SEO.
I don't know. Yeah. It's like this gym membership that's sitting out there. You're still getting fat. You're not using it, and the credit card's getting hit every single month. So
yes, we see that is. Thank you for saying that, because honestly, that is the biggest reason we try to tackle this question in Maven Monday. There are so many people misleading you as to what SEO actually is, and they're presenting it as this check a box. You got some sort of nerd activity, and then suddenly your website increases.
They send you a fancy report.
Yes, and the fancy report usually has nothing to do with ranking. Nope. I mean, I can't tell you how many people we've taken as clients over the years that were previously paying somebody else that just they didn't know what they got. They didn't really get anything when we looked at it. They were paying for a fancy report and some nerd talk, right? And to the guys out there guys and gals doing SEO right, thank you.
Yes.
But I hate to say it, I've seen hundreds and hundreds of case studies where that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So, cautionary tale. The practice of making SEO improve is not just one thing you can frankly pay a check for and just have it done.
Yeah.
We're going to break down in order what Google looks at. There are over 200 things, but we're going to put them in buckets in order the things Google actually looks at. So you know where you're at with SEO, what you need to do next.
Yeah.
And then to kind of determine, do you want to do this yourself, or should you hire an expert to do it?
Yeah. And I think real quick before we dive in, we want to think about in the scheme of if you're going to spend money on this, and this is in your advertising marketing budget. Yeah. The big question you're going to want to ask is, let's say it's $1,000. Is that the best way to spend your $1,000?
Yeah.
If you've got a big budget, and we'll talk about, how to know whether or not that's worth it here a little bit later, but oftentimes that's probably not the first or third
Why?
fifth place that I would spend my money.
Why?
Why isn't it?
Yeah.
Because I could usually get a more immediate result. I think a lot of times the SEO is done by a very small business who has almost no marketing budget, and that's their only $1,000 to spend.
True.
This is a very passive marketing effort that's not going to show results on the financial board.
And if you are an established company and you have a halfway decent website and you've got good reviews and over time you've earned your business, a lot of the things we're going to talk about in organic are kind of taking care of themselves. Now, big caveat to that, if you're in a super competitive market or a really giant city, it's harder. And so you have to do more.
Oh, yeah.
But if your website's built well, you have good reviews, and you have somewhat helpful content on your website, and you've got some years behind you, the internet knows who you are, right?
Yeah.
Google knows who you are.
Yeah.
But let's just say you're stuck in the middle. You're going, I don't have to have the results right now. I'm willing to wait for them. And by the way, SEO takes a while.
Months and years, not
months
days
and years,
weeks.
and continual garden maintenance, right? It's not just like there I did it, and it's not like, ooh, what'd you do from this month, and now I got 4 rank improvements. On the front end, you can get some quick gains by fixing the big things fast, but once you're at that middle level, going from middle to like upper tier is a big ordeal.
It's a big push.
So let's get into some tactics, some real walkaways, right?
Yep.
Not walkaways. You don't want your walkaways.
Takeaways. You got it.
We want takeaways.
You got it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that first one was understand what somebody's actually doing for you when you hire them for SEO, and hopefully the first thing they're doing is not this ambiguous, oh, I'm going to fix your keywords. And I can't tell how many times I've heard somebody say, well, they're working on my keywords. And it's like, that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. What does that mean?
For clarity, there used to be a part in the Google score that if you had a section in the code of your website that told Google what that page was about, that used to be a very big tactic in SEO. 6 or 7 years ago, they took it completely out.
Yeah.
It means nothing.
Google ignores it.
Yeah, Google ignores it because too many people were tricking them. So if somebody's trying to trick you into tricking Google, run.
Yeah.
But hopefully the first thing they're doing for you, or the first thing you're doing for yourself, is content. The first thing Google looks at is the words on your site to decide if you even belong in the category.
Yeah.
Okay.
Moz.com has a really, really good, they call it the Maslow's hierarchy of SEO needs, which I love. And
Maslow's. See what they did there?
Oh, it's Maslow's. I didn't even
Yeah.
check that out. So at the very base level, they're saying, are you crawl accessible? Which basically means you don't have a blocker that says, hey, Google robots, don't come on my site. When your site's being built, sometimes they block those so that they don't get found.
You're probably there.
You're probably good on that. The very second thing is compelling content. And that means it's back to that human equation we just talked about. Google reads the content like a human.
Yes.
They're robots now. Think about it. They're looking at the reading level, the content of the structure of the sentences, the way you explain it.
Yeah, they're comparing your sentence structure to authors that are well done, and they're saying, is this a fun to read? Not just is it easy to read. Used to be just, did you have the words there, and you can throw a bunch of words on a page. They're smarter than that.
Yeah.
They're smarter than tricking them. They're going, is this a well-written article?
Yeah, this is boring. People aren't going to want to read that, so we're probably not going to
They're looking for even little bits of humor and jokes and going, are you doing this well?
Yeah.
So it's first the words, and we're dropping a tool that you can use in the notes of this section to basically have a checklist. But here's some questions you should be asking. Do you really think that you are the most valuable page on the internet for this search? Are you really equipped to be the best? Sometimes, if it's a local search like estate planning Springfield, Mo, or estate planning, Washington D.C. or whatever, sometimes you are because you're the only one in the town that has done any amount of effort.
Yeah.
But very, very often there are national websites that have full-time writers that have had 20 years of being a national website, and they bought other websites, and they have a gazillion people linking to them, and Google just goes, cool. I see you'd like to rank for that. I see you're talking about that, but this guy's way better than you. So I guess what I would say about that is look at the best page, look at the ones that are ranking, and say, how do I beat it? And go back to that the Maven method or what Google wants section and say, what is missing? If my grandma were reading this page, what would she also need to know?
Yeah.
If my wife were reading this page, what would she also want to know?
Mhm.
You just kind of make a list. And so all the phrases that you want to rank for, let's just say, for example, it's window replacement. Well, are you just putting that on your page a couple times, or are you really going into things you should consider with window replacement? All the types of windows you could link to. And by the way, here's a government website to read about that. Oh, by the way, here's a pricing guide from maybe even another website that's not yours.
Yeah.
How long does it take? How many different options on pricing should I get in my market? What are all the lists of competitors I can have? And if you were truly being the most helpful, what would you do? And what would have to be true for you to be the most helpful? So let's assume you're willing to do that and you're willing to write all that content. And you should be, by the way, if you're serious about SEO. What we're going to do is we're going to take every term we hope to rank for, and we're going to design a page that tries to hit a home run for that term.
Yep.
So if it's window replacement, I got a page that's all about window replacement. If it's window companies, I've got a page all about how to choose the right window company.
Yeah.
If it is replacement windows, I've got a page that's all about replacement windows in that order. If it is energy efficiency of windows, I've got a page that's all about that. And you start building dozens, if not hundreds of pages that are high quality content. And it's not like I just made a page and I put a couple pieces of cheap info. You're spending thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars monthly to do this right.
Yeah.
And
or your very valuable time.
Or hopefully you're a good enough writer to pull this off.
Yeah.
By the way, do not try to cheat it with AI. You'll lose.
Yeah.
Google's figuring that out.
And that's where a lot of these retained SEO services go. At their best, usually they might be generating some content for you, but they're hiring some third party. They are contracting a writer who is a technical writer of sorts. They'll go do research on energy efficient windows and write some article about energy efficient windows. It probably is nonsense, and it may not even be what you preach to your customers. When
we do this, we charge thousands of dollars to do that.
Yeah.
Because it takes a really competent writer.
Somebody
who goes and learns. And I'm not trying to downplay it. I'm just saying it's not like, oh, I hired a nerd and they put some code in there. So you're writing content, and the bare minimum of SEO work is that you're building content. Okay.
Yeah.
And even what was considered good content 2 or 3 years ago is not enough right now. Okay. So you've got a list, and this tool is like a Excel sheet we have. Step 1, do I have a page that's titled what my keyword or the topic that I want to rank for? Step 2, have I included some subtitles? Have I broken that page? Think of like an outline when you were doing research papers in college or whatever. So like window replacement, I've got all these little sections on that, or solar. Man, solar's a great one that we work with. What are all the things I need to know? What are the 3 to 5 subtopics? And then you're writing paragraphs underneath those 3 to 5 paragraphs under the 3 to 5 subtopics.
Yep. You're
linking. So that's the kind of the checkbox. Do I have an H1, a second title, and then do I have a paragraph? And then you want to say, is the URL that I'm putting this page on, does it contain the word that I want to rank for? So put it in the URL. Do I have pictures about that? Do I have videos maybe that I found on YouTube that I put on the page, or maybe videos that I make of myself? Do I have external links to other things? So those 6 things you can do: titles, subtitles, paragraph text, pictures, videos, and external links. Everything you can possibly do to answer those questions. And you're doing that over and over for every keyword. And you want to keep a spreadsheet, and then at the very end of that, you say, where did I start my ranking, and then where did I improve it to? To where did I improve, that ranking factor, right?
Yep.
That makes sense?
That makes sense.
Cool. This is technical stuff. We don't normally go in the weeds.
You're going to need to hit the 0.75 on this episode.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to take it slow and make notes.
You want to put your words in a place that you can track them, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. So that was all about content. Second section of organic SEO is to make sure that your website is up to par. So number 1 is, can Google even see the page and judge you by the words that are on it? But pretty quickly after that, they go, okay, cool. You and like 20 other websites have that same level of content. So are you the fastest load speed? That's a very big one.
Yeah.
Is the user going to enjoy your website?
Yeah.
Is it old and clunky and built on a WordPress setup from 2 or 3, 4, or 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Or have you kept it up to speed?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have videos that slow it down? Do you have they look at mobile functionality? Do you have buttons that are big enough for people not to accidentally click with their fat fingers?
Yep.
All the things. Now, this is where nerds will really be a savior for
Yeah.
you. Yeah, this is called back-end SEO, right? So we're making the site zippy, making it easy to navigate. I would encourage you, like one of the number one tools in the industry is GT Metrics, and just punch your website into gtmetrics.com and it'll scan it. GTmetrics, GTmetrix.com.
Mm-hmm.
We'll put that link in the show notes, and just put it in there, and it'll give you an A, B, C, D, E, or F grade.
Yeah.
And you'll kind of know Google's rough opinion of your website.
Yeah.
You can also go to Google Page Insights and get their opinion directly on how fast your site loads. But GT Metrics will give you more of a punch list of things.
Yeah,
fix.
GT Metrics takes a conglomeration of a few different sites that score you, which is a little bit more powerful because you get a rounded perspective.
Yep. So if you've had a really slow, crappy website for a long time, and then you suddenly do this new website, it can take months for Google to start trusting it, even though they say, they're like, oh, this domain's associated with slow load speeds and bad code and clunky images and missing information. And now, oh, they've got this new website. We saw it once or twice, but they're keeping a historical judgment on you. Mm-hmm. And that plagues you over time. And so that's where I can make a strong case for getting a website update every year or two. Mm-hmm. Cool. Last thing is security and what we call HTTPS. Is it a secure SSL certificate?
Yep.
Make sure all that's up to date. Google does not really rank sites that don't have that.
Nope.
Cool. And then mobile design, all the things that go into mobile friendly design. Most sites are getting 70 to 80% of their traffic from mobile. So hopefully your design team is designing mobile first.
Yeah.
What do we not cover so far on the technical side?
I think a big question is usually the title tags and meta descriptions. Those are really big. So when you do that search for something near me, advertising agency in Springfield, you scroll down, you see the link text that has some sort of proposition or maybe just the page title. It's called the page title and a description below. You can declare what you would like for those to be to Google. Back in the day, you would keyword stuff those like crazy with some nonsense. Anymore, they aren't as relevant with the keywords specifically. They're more of a selling proposition. Yeah, because you're sitting there next to all these other sites.
So if you don't do this and somebody Googles advertising agency Springfield Mo and your site pops up, Google will select a random amount of text on your front page or your middle page or whatever to display to the user. But if you go in and take the time to do meta descriptions and you say, we are an advertising agency specializing in blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And you give the user a nice, like,
it's compelling
preview, affirmation, validation of their pains, they'll more likely click on you. Yes. Now, in time, I want to emphasize in time, if Google sees users clicking on your site and then not exiting quickly and coming right back to Google, so if they see that IP address,
it stays away,
and I'm on that site for 5, 6, 7 minutes, or I never come back and search that again, they assume, oh, cool, Caleb found what he was looking for.
Yep.
It's a smaller part of the score, but that is a part of the score.
Another big thing that can be overlooked really quickly is your homepage. Typically, your site will name the title tags based on the name of the page. So your homepage will say home Frank and Maven.
If you don't tell it
if you don't change it. And so you would want to change we would say advertising agency in Springfield Mo, Frank and Maven. Yes. And that would be our title tag potentially. And so you just want to make sure you change those things. They're really subtle, but when the user search for advertising agency, they're not going to want to click on something that says home.
Yes.
That's not what they looked for.
Yes, exactly. And if we were writing it really compelling and trying to sell us, we would be like, Frank and Maven, the no-nonsense advertising agency, and the paragraph text would say, are you tired of wasting money on ads? Would you like somebody to tell you like it is? Would you like to get strategy and understand why you're doing the things you're doing and how to measure results accurately? And somebody would be like, cool, that versus somebody that just said advertising agency Springfield Mo.
Yeah.
We do websites, billboards, and social media, right? Cool.
Yeah.
So you guys get the point there. We have covered, for recap, how to think about content, the checklist that you need to have for every page and every term that you hope to rank for. We've talked about writing your code or having your website built in a way that is fast, zippy, mobile friendly. We've talked about meta descriptions as something that is oversold by a lot of SEO people, but it can be helpful for your user.
Yeah.
And the last thing I want to say is how to get links, because you'll hear this term thrown around like your domain authority is low or whatever. Tools like Moz in the SEO industry have found a way to sort of measure what it thinks Google's going to think about next. And we call these things domain authority. How authoritative is your domain? And they use this formula to kind of give a guesstimation as to what Google would see valuable on your site.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest things that attributes to domain authority, or what Google trusts, is how many other websites link back to you. The web is, as its name suggests, it's a big giant web of one website linking to another, to another, to another. And Google sees, okay, well, Rank and Maven has 8,000 websites linking to it, talking about them being a great ad agency and talking about all these really relevant topics. We like them more than we like some agency who just has a couple of links from their local chamber.
Yeah.
So how do you get backlinks? This is one of the most holistic, long-term waiting games.
Yeah.
And just consistent commitment to your industry. But it also requires you to be active in reaching out to reporters, to being good at PR, to being helpful, writing these helpful articles about how to size the window perfectly, or what window colors and styles go with certain types of homes, and what type of glass is appropriate for this climate, and all this really in-depth content. Websites that are authoritative and they're helpful, like, bobvila.com, or, even homedepot.com, or bloggers, or otherwise considered, authoritative people. If they link to you, you get a lot of credit for that.
Oh, yeah.
But you have to have the content.
Yeah.
They're not just going to link to you because you're some estate planning attorney in Springfield, or some solar company in Ohio, or, some mechanic in Alabama. They're only going to link to you when your content serves their users.
Yeah.
So you're writing really good content. You're using places like Help a Reporter Out to find topics that reporters want to post on. And you are trying to make valuable stuff as an expert. And you're building deep content. You're being the authority. You can get on things like podcasts. When we have guests on this podcast, we'll link to their website.
Yeah.
Say, this guy's an expert, this gal's an expert. You're getting things like local news interviews, and it takes work. You got to network with those people. So getting links is a huge part of ranking. And sometimes, if your category is up against a really big national competitor, this can be the place that's hard to win, because they've had decades of people linking to them.
Yeah.
And they're national and you're not, right?
Yeah.
So think about that. If all of this other stuff doesn't get you across the finish line, that's where you're at. And you measure that with tools like Moz.com, which is going to lead us into our second to last section. How do we measure progress? But go ahead.
Can I pause you real quick?
Pause
on
me.
Getting links. I'm going to go back to just my fear of this is why we do what we do. My fear of people getting ripped off. If somebody's claiming to get you a lot of backlinks by sending you out to some crazy link farm that has a bunch of, basically it's just a big website full of links that go back, and they sell these as like a package that you can add your website to it.
Yes.
It's credible, so it's going to make you credible. Google sniffs those out eventually and shuts you down, and then penalizes you for having been on that site. And so I would really, really encourage you, if you hear anybody, I hope nobody's doing this anymore.
I've seen them.
I
saw one a couple weeks ago.
Okay. Well, it makes me sad. But if you hear of somebody doing that and it's not a reputable, it's not the way you would go about doing it.
It will work for a minute, and then it will screw you forever.
Yep. It'll hurt so bad. So it's not worth the risk.
We had a client do that unbeknownst to us. And then they started blaming like slow website speeds and stuff for like their low load times, or sorry, their low ranking. And we started finding all these really sketchy links linked to them, and we figured out that they had, responded to some punk that just said, "Hey, for $800, I'll get you a bunch of backlinks," and they thought they were doing the right thing, and it ruined them for years.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Matter of fact, if anybody is promising you quick, fast results in SEO, run.
Yeah.
Because they don't know. Google changes this stuff 2 or 3 times a year in a big way. And nobody can promise that. What you are and should hire somebody to do is help you produce the type of content and the website environment that leads to the best and most helpful thing for your user.
Mm-hmm.
Google will in time find that to you. It's like a tomorrow customer in that way.
It really is.
So there's no quick gains where you can just do something and start ranking higher.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, sorry, I cut you off.
Thank you for doing that.
We were going to measurement.
So how do we know if we're winning? Another thing that a lot of, unfortunately, sketchy companies do is because a business owner doesn't know what they don't know, they do things like traffic reports and do things like picking and choosing what metrics to show you at different times that look like they're positive and they're up.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of the business owner is too busy, so they just go, cool, they're doing something that's nerd stuff. I don't know about that. I trust them.
Yeah.
And they're nice kids. And by the way, I want to step back and say not everybody doing that is ill-intended.
No.
It's probably how they've been trained, but the things that you actually do want to look at. Google Analytics is a good tool, and if your organic traffic is going up in time and it's got a steady trend, that's a good sign you're doing something right. But it doesn't necessarily tell you what's working right.
That's true.
Your organic traffic could go up or down because of your brand getting more popular.
Yeah.
Or because of one promotion you did, or because one of your competitors fell off the list or something. So it's one of the clues, but I would rather see if your job and your purpose behind doing SEO in the first place is to rank higher, use a tool like Bright Local.
Mm-hmm.
Because it will go out and periodically, as often as you tell it to, scan where you are for as compared to your competitors for the terms you actually want to rank for.
Yeah.
So Bright Local, it's a great tool. We've used it for years here. It doesn't, even if you show a slightly up or down, month to month, it doesn't mean that everything is all sound, but it's the most labor-free way to say, in general, am I trending up by specific keyword.
Yep.
Closely related to that is Moz.com, and it is a little more expensive, but it is one of the most robust SEO tools that we use. And it will give you more of a why you're not ranking. And you can say, here's my 3 or 4 competitors that are ranking instead of me. What are they doing that I'm not?
Yeah.
And it might be some national website that's doing things you can't compete with, or there might be some easy wins.
Yeah.
Moz will also give you ideas about what keywords to write pages about on your website. The most accurate way for organic traffic to be searched is what's called trended is what's called Google Search Console. It's free. You install it on your website, and it will give you a real history of how many clicks Google from their own database is sending to you.
Yeah.
They'll tell you how many pieces of traffic you actually got from Google. If that is going up, that's probably the most accurate thing. It's not Google Analytics. It's called Google Search Console.
Yeah. And that'll also show you, it'll show you those terms. Yeah. And the clicks associated with them. And when you do that, you'll see whether or not it's your branded content or related search terms like replacement windows.
Yes.
Are you ranking for that? Or are you ranking for Frank and Maven Window Company?
Yes,
That's
exactly.
a very different story.
So that's really a good thing to consider is in time, this is a slow moving thing, which leads us to our last point. You can get quick wins. You can shore up first base, maybe second base type stuff that are just real quick opportunities, and Google will see you as more credible. But to really win in big competitive categories, guys, this is a lifelong strategy for your business.
Yeah.
And over the years, we have tried to do like 80% of this stuff out of the box. Good page content, good load speeds, well-designed websites. And then if somebody is struggling in organic SEO, that's where we start going to these, what do you want to have happen and why type of conversations that can take a long time to pay off. And most business owners are going, I want dollar in, leads out. And so paid sometimes wins in that balance.
Yeah.
But choosing SEO as a strategy, true organic SEO, is no different than than anything else that's worth waiting for. It takes a while and it takes a lifelong commitment.
Yeah.
And you have to have a good writer. You
Yeah.
have somebody who's good with words to pull that off. So please don't pay somebody an XYZ amount for some tiny little SEO package unless they're very, very, very clear about what kind of content they're creating for you. You can hire a nerd occasionally to shore up the technical things on your website, but it's going to rely more on writing and content than it is the technical stuff.
Yeah.
And know that Google will always change the rules on you. What worked today, if you're winning, and you might go backwards half a year from now because they decided to use some other criteria to rank.
Yeah.
And
good example of that right now, I think writing your web pages with AI is a big one. They're going to figure it out.
They are.
I don't think they have yet, but they'll figure out how to sniff that out. And I think you'll be penalized if it's not true, authentic, human written content.
Yep. There's too much in it for them to not figure that out.
Yeah.
Last thing in this section, which is SEO your strategy? What if your company was so famous and so well liked and so well known in your community that long before somebody went, gosh, golly, I wish I knew which roofer I wanted, they just went straight to you and they were navigating to you? They might type your name with one of these navigational keywords as, Albert's Roofing, long before they went and picked you off a list. Would that be better?
Heck yeah.
I know zero business owners that wouldn't like that effect.
Yeah.
It's just that very few are willing to wait for it, and they're going SEO is my thing.
Yeah.
And SEO takes just as long to do it that well. And so, but then with SEO, you're still on the list with other competitors and it can still be taken away from you. Your name, your likeness, your brand, your connection and value-driven bond with the community is stronger than any search engine can ever compete with. And so as you're doing this stuff, I would also like to see you doing that if you're a client of mine.
Yeah. And guess which term is the easiest to rank for?
Your name.
Your name.
So build a name that is worth being searched more than your category. We do it all the time. We have clients that literally get their name searched as often as they do their category in their space. And just be famous. Do the SEO things you need to compete how best serves your business. We have a ton of notes in today's and last week's sections, notes section of the episode. Click on those, use the tools, and by all means, if we miss something, there's so much nuance to this.
Yeah.
Please send us a question.
We're not going to pretend like this is all inclusive. This is not enough time to cover it all.
We hopefully gave you enough info not to get hurt.
Yes, we wanted to protect you, make sure you are armed with the tools. Hey, if you have a question that you'd like to get answered on the podcast, please email us, mavenmonday@frankandmaven.com. We would love to answer it, and we'll shoot you an email as soon as we answer that.
We'll send you a copy of the Maven Marketer.
Yeah, we
Maybe even a signed t-shirt by Caleb.
Oh my.
Salib Agee. And we'll be back here every Monday answering your questions on marketing so you can grow your business, eliminate waste in advertising, and achieve the big dream.
Because marketers who can't teach you why are just a fancy lie.
Have a great week.